G'day, I'm Yuki-san Dev, and in part 29 of the series Unity for the Absolute Beginner, we will work on phase 5 of our second game. Alrighty, so we are continuing on from phase 4 where we set up the boss to make its entrance and do some attacking. Today we will set up the gameplay GUI so that we can see what's going on without having to look at the GameManager variables during gameplay. So let's get into it. Okay, so I'm opening the project from where we left off in phase 4. Alrighty, so first off let's get the font that we will use for the GUI in here. This font is available in my GitHub link if you would like to go and grab it. Now I can't quite remember where or when I got this from, so hopefully it's not copywritten in any way. I don't think it is, so it should be fine. Anyway, drag the MineCraft alt font into your project. And then drag it into your custom fonts folder that we created in the first video. Now click Window and Text Mesh Pro and Font Asset Creator. Import TMP Essentials if you need to. Now click up here and select the MineCraft font. And click Generate Font Alias. Now this font does have a bunch of missing characters, but for what we're going to use it for, it will be just fine. So let's save this. And accept the default path. And close the window. And now if you drop down your custom font folder, you should see the new font that we just created. And we're going to use that for our GUI items. Alright, on to the GUI. So right click in your hierarchy and select UI and Text Mesh Pro. And name it Your Score Title. And you can see now that the canvas has been auto-created and the text object that we just created has been slotted inside. So all GUI items from here on in need to go inside that canvas. So double-click your Score title in the hierarchy and your scene should now zoom out enough for you to see it. It's huge, right? Yep, it's always going to be that way. Right, now in the text input, let's put Score. And select the MineCraft font that we just created. Now after you select it, you will get warnings in your console to tell you that this font has missing characters. You're going to get these warnings constantly. It's nothing to worry about, but if it does bug you, you can disable the warnings by clicking Edit and then Project Settings and select Text Mesh Pro and then Settings. And from there you can disable those warnings with the toggle here. Okay, back to our score display. So let's change the font size to 22. And let's change the color to green. So that would mean that red is 0, blue is 0, and green is 1. And align the text centered down here. Alrighty, use your move tool and drag the label up to the top left edge somewhere. And finally select top left in your anchor presets. Alright, now let's make another text object and we'll call this one Your Score. And let's put a dummy score in there just for now. Just put something with 7 digits just so we can get it centered. And change the font size to 22 again. And use the MineCraft font again. I'm just going to leave this one white. And center the text here again. And then drag it underneath the score title. And don't forget to set its anchor as well. Alright, now that it's in place, you can set the score to 0. We just wanted those 7 digits in there to get our alignment correct. Alright, we're going to need another 2 for player lives. So we can just copy these two here and paste them. and then rename them. And move them down a little bit. And then we'll edit their texts. So lives. And now we're going to do the same again for high score display. So just copy those two again. And this time we're going to drag it to the top right. And we'll set their text accordingly. And don't forget to change the anchors. And we'll do the same for enemies killed. And change the text to enemies killed and 0. And drag that one to the bottom right. I'm going to change the text size to 18 for this one. And don't forget those anchors again. Alright, and now let's put in a quit button so that the player can exit the game. So right click on the canvas and select UI and button Text Mesh Pro and name it quit. And let's change the normal colors alpha to 0 so it has no background. I'll leave you to play around with the colors later. Now drop the button down and change the text to quit. And of course change the font to MineCraft. Font size 24. And we'll make the color a little bit of a darker green, I guess. And click on the button again and move it down to the bottom left. Alright, that's all the always visible stuff done. Now we'll just do a few more. So we're going to need a game over display. So right click on the canvas and select UI and Text Mesh Pro. And we'll name this one Game Over Display. And change its text to Game Over. Disable wrapping. And change the font to MineCraft. And let's size it up to 100. And we'll change the color. I'm going to go with red. And put it where you would like it to display when the game is over. And don't forget to set the according anchor. Alright, now once that's done, we can disable this particular object up here. And we will enable it in script when the game is over. And now let's do the Get Ready display. So again, right click the canvas and create another Text Mesh Pro. And name this one Get Ready Display. Change its text to Get Ready. I think all in lowercase letters looks pretty good with the font. Change the font to MineCraft. Size it up to 70. And again, turn wrapping off. And we'll change this one's color. I'm going to go with yellow. And position this guy on the screen where you'd like it to be displayed. I'm going to go with X minus 100 and Y 120. And I'm just going to keep the anchor at the center. Alright, now before we disable this one, let's make another one for the wave display, which is going to sit underneath it. So we're going to need to see it so we know where to put it. So again, right click the canvas and create a Text Mesh Pro and name this one Wave Display. Leave the text as it is just for the minute. Let's change the font to MineCraft, center the text and resize to 30. And we'll change its color to something a little different. I'm going to go with orange. And position it just underneath the Get Ready display. Okay, so rather than disable the wave display, let's just take out all the text. And now we can disable the Get Ready display. Alright, we're pretty much done with the canvas at this point. So you could of course move any of these items to anywhere in the scene that you like. They're still going to work the same way, so it's up to you. Alright, now let's start updating these fields during gameplay. So first of all, let's do the quit button. So first of all, we're going to need to create a function for it to quit the app. Let's put it in the GameManager script. So let's open up the GameManager script. Alright, so pretty much anywhere in your script, you can just put a quick public function, public void quit app, and then application.quit in between the curlies. Alright, so now our button has something to call. So let's save this. Now click the quit button in the canvas and scroll down to onClick and click the plus button. And now drag the GameManager object from the hierarchy into the empty object slot. Then select GameManager and then our quit app function. Cool, so now when the game is compiled, we will be able to quit the game by clicking this button. Alright, now let's get back into our GameManager script and update the score, lives, and enemies killed fields. Okay, so we're going to need access to those 3 fields so that we can change them. So in our declarations, let's do serialize field, text mesh pro u GUI, score display, comma, lives display, comma, enemies killed display. And you will notice that Visual Studio has automatically thrown in using TM Pro, which is needed for all the text mesh pro GUI stuff. If it didn't put it in, then you'll need to put that in manually. Alright, so we have the references. Now we just need to do the updates. So the score and the enemies killed are both updated when we kill something, which is in our GotPoint function. So let's open that function. So in there, after the existing code, let's do score display dot set text and then player score to string. And then enemies killed display dot set text enemies killed to string. And that's it. Every time an enemy is killed, the score and enemies killed GUI displays will update. Notice we're using toString in these lines. It's because the score and enemies killed are both of the type integer, so they have to be converted to strings to be used in a string field. Another way to do it could be like this. Right, and now our lives display will need to be updated when we get hit. So that's going to be in our player got hit function. So in there, straight after player lives minus minus, let's do lives display dot set text player lives dot toString. Also, we're going to need to update this one in our start method to show how many lives we're actually starting with. So just copy the line of code you just did and paste it into the start method. Okay, we still have the get ready display to do, but let's test this lot out first. So let's save this. And if you click the GameManager object in the hierarchy, you will now see 3 new Text Mesh Pro object fields. We need to drag the canvas items into them. So your score into score display, and lives into lives display, and finally enemies killed into enemies killed display. Now in the end of the last video I had my player score set to 50, so I'm just going to set that back to 0. And I think the waves here need to be raised a little bit, so let's do 20, 40, and 60. Okay, now let's run this. And let's shoot some stuff to make sure the score and enemies killed gets updated each time. And get hit by something to make sure the player lives goes down. Cool. Alright, now for our Get Ready and Gameover displays. So let's get back into the GameManager script. Alrighty, so we will need access to the canvas game objects to enable and disable them. So let's do serialize field, game object, game over display, comma, Get Ready display. Okay, so you remember all of those places where we put those debug get ready statements in? Well, that's where this now comes in. So open up our get ready routine. And in here, we're going to do this twice. One for the boss battle and the other for everything else. So let's replace the debug get ready line with get ready display dot set active true. And then after the player is instantiated, we're going to turn off the get ready display with get ready display dot set active false. And while we're at it, let's change our wait for seconds to 3. I think 2 might be a little bit short. And now let's do the same for the other one. Alright, so now when you are hit, you will get that get ready message in the scene for about 3 seconds, and then it will disappear when the player instantiates in. And lastly, we want the game over display to appear when the game is over, and that will be in our player got hit function. So let's open that one. So replace our game over debug statement with game over display dot set active true. Alrighty. I think we're ready to give this a test, so let's save this. And click on GameManager again, and you will have 2 new game object fields to drag those canvas items into. Game over display and get ready display. Alright, let's play and test this. So straight away we get the get ready pop up, and then after 3 seconds the game starts. And play and get hit by something, should see get ready again. And then we get killed 3 times and game is over. Cool. Alright, now a little bit on the waves. As it is now, when you get to the next wave, it just happens. There's no pause or anything like that. You could stay that way if you wanted it to, but for me, I would like to wipe all the enemies after each wave and then have a short get ready pop up again, and then start the next wave. So let's get into our spawner script for this one. Alright, so we again will need access to the get ready display for this one. So serialize field, game object, get ready display. And we want to show what wave we're on as well. So we'll need access to the wave display text with serialize field, text mesh pro UGUI, wave display. Alright, now let's get into our spawn waves routine. And now if there is another wave, let's add a few lines before the 2 that are in there. First we want to wipe the enemies, so let's do GameManager script dot wipe enemies. Then we'll just wait half a second with yield return new, wait for seconds 0.5f. Then we'll enable our get ready display with get ready display dot set active true. And now we're going to set the text of our wave display. The display is already enabled, so we don't have to enable it. It just has nothing to display. So let's give it something with wave display dot set text, and then speech marks wave plus the wave number plus 1. Then we'll wait a few seconds while that display sits up there. So yield return new, wait for seconds 3. And now we'll turn off the get ready display. So get ready display dot set active false. And finally we set the wave display back to nothing again. So wave display dot set text, and then just 2 empty speech marks. Now you may have noticed that I added a +1 to the wave number display. That's because the first wave is actually wave 0. You will notice when you create any kind of element, the starting number is 0. It's a pain in the butt, I know, but there is no way to change it. There's only a few languages that will start that at 1, and C# unfortunately is not one of them. Alright, so that should about do it. So let's save this. And click on the spawner object and drag Get Ready Display into its slot. and the wave display into its slot. And let's run this. Alright, so we'll make enough points here to get to the next wave. And boom, there it is. Cool. Okay, I think we're pretty much done with the GUI stuff for now. The high score we will work on when we get to the scoreboard with high scores set up in the menu scene. So again, there are a lot of variables and numbers you can change in the game to tweak it. I haven't bothered thus far because we are designing the game at this point and we still need to test it. So I don't want to make numbers and scores and things big. But at the end of this game series, I will do a video on all the tweaks. So what's next? Well, I'm guessing probably the sound and particle effects. And then after that, we're going to start working on the menu with the high scores. So I hope to see you in the next video.